Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Ohio.
This is a game where you have to, how you handle frustration goes so far in how your season is defined. And we're going to find out. Because we need to show up, and we're not the type of team that can just show up and throw your gloves out. But when we play as a team, we can be pretty good. So that's what we're going to have to do.
On a beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon in downtown Cleveland, it's Indians baseball. Today the Tribe puts the Raps on a long homestand looking for their first win since they returned home off the road. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. All right, where do you want to start when you talk about this homestand? The fact that they've hit 200 as a team, the fact that they've hit less than that with runners in scoring position, the fact that the ERA as a staff is over 5, well, last night might have been rock bottom when they committed a season-high 4 errors in their 6th straight loss.
Yeah, one of the ugliest games of the year for the Indians defensively. You get one that gets thrown into center field. Right here, Ubaldo should have let the third baseman take the play. He throws it into the stands, and then you have your middle infielders making a couple of errors. And I'll tell you what, it can be contagious at times. I still think they're having a little hangover from that Detroit series, but they threw the ball all over the ballpark last night. They're going to have to settle down, do what they can do. Don't be spectacular. Don't be great. Just make every play that you can make.
Well, as Terry Francona said, it's how you handle times like this that define your season. Still a lot of baseball left for the Indians. They need a win today before they head out on a very long road trip. They've got their ace on the hill, Justin Masterson, looking for win number 14 on the year. We're back with the play-by-play coming up next. Welcome in to Progressive Field. Indians and the Angels wrapping up the 3-game weekend series. And for the Tribe, Justin Masterson on the hill as he prepares for battle. We'll take a look at Mike Scioscia's starting lineup today for the Angels. It will be J.B. Shuck leading it off, followed by Cole Calhoun. Mike Trout, 0 for 6 in the series. He'll bat third. Then Josh Hamilton, followed by Mark Trumbo. Eric Ibar batting sixth. Chris Nelson, Hank Conger, and Grant Green rounded out.
Justin Masterson making his 25th start this year. He is 13-8. He is 1-0 last year against the Angels, 3-0 in his career. Looking to get the Indians a win on this homestand. And Justin is 3-0 this year against American League West teams with a 125 earned run average, so you hope that continues.
J.B. Shuck to lead it off for the Halos, as the Indians try to snap a 6-game losing streak. First pitch of the game in there for a called strike. Despite the poor season for the Angels, they are not going for their first sweep of the season. They've actually swept the Tigers twice this year, once in Detroit, once in Anaheim, and they've also swept a 4-game series against Kansas City, so they've done some damage in the Central Division this year. 2-1 to count. Shuck 3 for 7 in the series with a double. Couple of sac flies last night. He's been productive. 7 runs batted in his last 9 games played. That's foul wide of first. And the count is 2-2. Shuck, who grew up in Galion, Ohio, played at Ohio State. He's had the opportunity to play in front of a lot of friends and family this weekend. There's a little tapper back to the mound. Masterson has it and throws him out.
Let's check the Kia Indians defense behind Masterson this afternoon. Michael Brantley back in left field. Bourne is in center. Stubbs in right. Chisenhall at third. Cabrera at short. Kipnis is at second. Swisher at first. Santana behind the plate. They had a season-high 4 errors last night. They have 78 on the season.
Vic Carapazza calling the balls and strikes. Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief, is down at first base. And then Danley and Barksdale are your other umpires here this afternoon. Cole Calhoun, 0 for 3 in the series. Since last Sunday, he's batted an even .300, going 12 for 40. He's got a 2-0 count now. 3 left-handed bats in the lineup for Mike Scioscia's club here today. And then you've got 2 switch hitters, Ibar and Hank Conger. On a play down the left side. 2-1.
Justin making his 4th straight start here at Progressive Field, and he has started 6 of the last 7 games he has pitched at home. He doesn't mind that. As I told you, 8-3 and a .282 here in his home ballpark.
Inside he missed. 3-1. Sinker misses low, ball 4. Our keys to the game, courtesy of Akron Children's Hospital. Play an all-around game. You got to do everything and do it all well. Defense, offense, pitch. Yeah. They got to put a full game together. Mike Trout will bat here. Trout is 0 for 6 in the series. He has walked 3 times. And the walk is important for Mike Trout because if you give him first base, you can almost guarantee it'll be a double in a hurry, especially if there's nobody in front of him the way he runs. And Trout has reached base safely now. He was He was in an 0 for last night, but he walked his last time up, so he's reached base safely now in his last 32 games.
Well, the Indians have really done a good job on him.
Since July 1st, Trout has batted .366. But as you say, the Indians have done a nice job pitching against him in this series up till now. 2-1 to count. Not impossible, but a tough guy to double up. He's hit into 6 double plays on the year. But it's almost got to be like Michael Bourne, like Drew Stubbs. It has to be a one-hop atom ball at one of your middle infielders. 3 balls and a strike to count now. As Masterson searches for it here in the early going, he's thrown more balls and strikes so far.
Home plate moving around on Justin.
And that's close, but it doesn't get the call, and back-to-back walks here in the first. Up to bat comes Josh Hamilton. The Angels designated hitter 3 for 7 in the series with a home run.
Hamilton has put up very good numbers against Masterson in his career. 8 for 12, a couple of homers and 4 ribbies.
Wow, he is missing badly here in the early going. 11 out of 16 balls thrown by Masterson so far, just 5 strikes as he is searching for it early. There's a good fastball at the knees, 1-1. Spin and a throw to second. Close play ball gets away from Cabrera. He had the tag on him, but the ball was not in the glove.
Sometimes.
Well timed.
Well, it was, and it keeps that guy a little bit closer at second base. And when you do it, Cabrera here is trying to be so quick and get the tag down that, you got to catch the ball first. Gets away, no harm, though.
There's a line drive base hit to left center field, and the Angels are going to grab the early lead. Cole Calhoun will score. Trout goes to third. Angels at the corners, 1-0 as Hamilton picks up his 55th run batted in on the year, and 3 straight Angels have reached here in the first inning.
Yeah, his good numbers continue against Masterson. Let's check out the location of this pitch. He's struggling to throw strikes, so he's going to try and get a good part of the plate. But when you do it with the good hitters, he stayed on it. It's right down the middle. Didn't have as much movement on it, and he stayed on it and drives it to left center field. So Calhoun scores. Trout goes to third. It's first and third, and the Angels are leading it 1-0 here in the top of the first. They dropped a 5 spot on the Indians on Friday night in the first inning of a ball game. That's all they scored the rest of the game. That was it.
Now Mark Trumbo, who is just 1 for 9 in the series, but always a threat. 25 homers on the year. Inside, ball 1. Now the 1-0. Line drive on 1 hop to Kipnis. He'll go to Cabrera. There's 1 on to first. Not in time. So it would have gotten him out of the inning. Instead, the Angels make it 2-0. Ball just took forever to get to Kipnis. It was hit almost as if it was hit in slow motion.
Well, it was because he jammed him. And once that ball got down, Trumbo, very average going down the line, but watch that ball. It's almost like a changeup. And it's a long flip, and by the time they turn it, he just beats it out. So both walks that Justin had in the first come around to score.
The Angels had scored in the first inning in 6 straight games. That was snapped last night, but they get right back on the horse here today with 2 in the first. And now Eric Ibar, who's had a good series, going 4 for 9. Bats with a runner at first base and 2 down in inning number 1. Down and in for ball 2. Very un-Justin Masterson-like here at the outset. Unable to command it. And that's 3-0. Boy, all season long he's been so good at, especially early in the game. He'll have his moments where maybe he loses it, but usually at the outset he's been pretty good.
Right now, that two-seamer that he throws, his fastball at about 90, he's having a tough time controlling. So he ought to just grab a four-seamer, throw a 94, 95 to get in there, just so he can get a feel of his release point, because that ball is running all over the place on him. Coming into this start, he had a 1.88 ERA in the first inning. He's already allowed 2 runs.
3-1 pitch, runner goes, and it's strike 2, and the throw down to second is not in time. Boy, Trumbo, a big guy, not a base stealer, but he was off and running, and a good throw would have had him, but the throw was high, and a steal for Trumbo, his 3rd of the year.
Well, 3-1 count. You can afford to be aggressive. It's a good pitch to throw on, just not a very good one. Footwork, a little slow getting rid of the ball. Look at Trumbo. He looked like he was waiting to see if he put the ball in play. He did not.
Kept waiting for him to change gears. It took a while. Those big rigs, they don't shift gears like the Ferraris. Full count now for Ibar. Long first inning for Masterson. 27th pitch coming up. And that's going to go foul. Come back and do it again. Ibar with a hit in 10 of his last 11 games. And he's just 2 runs shy of scoring 400 in his career. The payoff pitch, swung on and missed. Masterson strikes him out to end the inning, but the Halos take advantage of a pair of walks to take a 2-0 lead. With a 2-0 lead, bottom of the first inning, it'll be Bourne, Swisher, and Kipnis due up for the Tribe. Then you've got Cabrera, Brantley, and Santana. Giambi, Chisenhall, and Stubbs. Indians starting lineup brought to you by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance.
Well, Jerome Williams on the mound for the Angels. He's 5-8. He moved into the rotation back on May 5th. And he has gone 9 starts without a win. His last win coming June 12th at Baltimore. So he has scuffled. But then when this guy pitches east to west, keeps the ball down, moves it in and out, sort of the sinking action, he's been fine. If he gets the ball elevated, he can have a lot of success. In his 5 games started against the Central this year, he's 3-0 and a .324 earned run average and has allowed 1 home run.
Michael Bourne takes a ball wide of the mark. He has 1 hit in the series, 1 for 9. That's outside as well, 2-0. Fastball strike called on the outside corner. Swing and a miss, and that evens the count of 2-2. Brantley lifts 1 to center, dropping in a hurry. Trout on the move, and he gets there to make the catch. 1 away.
Check the Angels defense behind Williams today. It's Shuck in left field. Trout is in center. Calhoun is in right. Nelson at third. Ibar at short. Green is at second. Trumbo at first. Conger gets the start. Blake.
Nick Swisher steps in here. Swisher, 2 for 7 in the series. Jerome Williams, a native of Hawaii. You'll notice the pink glove that he uses here today. It's a custom-made glove that he had especially made a couple of years ago. He wears it in honor of his late mother, who died of breast cancer. She was very much an inspiration to Jerome throughout his life. Ground ball towards Green, who's out on the shallow right field, and he makes the play on Swisher. 2 down. Our stat of the game brought to you by your Northern Ohio Buick dealers. Last 9 games now, the Indians have dropped 7 of 9. Of course, they've lost 6 in a row. The offense just not getting it done.
Well, from the second half, I mean, we can even go a little bit further. From the second half of the season, they're averaging a run less a game than they did in the first half. 12 points below on the batting average, and the runners in scoring position is a big difference as well. And, it certainly shows.
And again, it's one of those things. You go back to the series in Miami. Jose Fernandez was phenomenal, possibly rookie of the year type guy. 2 other good pitchers, Evaldi, who he shut out the best team in baseball last night, 1-0. So they faced legitimately good pitching in Miami. Come home, you get 4 more good ones from Detroit, but at some point you can't continue to just say, "Oh boy, the starting pitching's really good out there."
There's big league pitchers every day you face. You know what? If they're on their game, they can shut you down and shut you out. You have to find a way to score. You go through cycles, and right now they're going through a bad cycle.
Broken bat, fly ball, shallow right, in a basket catch by Calhoun. Ends the inning. Tribe goes 1-2-3, 2-0 Angels after an inning. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by McDonald's, now introducing 3 exciting new Quarter Pounders, and by Kia. Two nothing Angels lead it. Second inning, it'll be the bottom third of the Angel lineup. Chris Nelson, Hank Conger, and Grant Green. Nelson takes a strike. 1 for 9 in the series.
See if Justin can tighten it up and try and find that strike zone in the inning. The 2 walks cost him back in the first. Again, the Angels had 1 hit, and they end up getting 2 runs.
1-2 the count. And a swing and a foul tip held on by Santana, strikes him out, 1 away. Today's trivia question brought to you by AT&T. 3 players in Major League history have 500 or more homers and 100 or more triples. Power and speed, who are these 3? We'll have the answer coming up later. And a strike called. Oh, 1 just missed inside. One hop smash to first, knocked down by Swisher, but he won't be able to recover. And Conger is awarded a base hit.
Well, this ball hit right on the nose. It's going to be that in-between hop, and you either pick it. It's a tough play. Do or die. He can't hold on to it. It trickles away. It'll go as a base hit.
Grant Green steps in now. He's gone 5 for 12 since getting his opportunity here with the Angels. Problem for Green is he was 0 for 15 in 5 starts with the Oakland A's earlier this year. He came from Oakland in exchange for Alberto Callaspo. Inside, he missed 2 balls and a strike. Runner goes, and a foul out of play.
Yeah, trying to be aggressive. Mike Scioscia early, 9th hitter, 1 out. You got a 2-run lead. Start the runner. Why not? Even though your catcher's on. You know, the Angels 11th in the league in stolen bases. Normally they're always up in the top 2 or 3. They have 58 on the year.
One hopper to short, and that eats up Cabrera. Boy, oh boy. On his way to third goes Hank Conger. The throw is going to allow the runner to go from first to second.
Wow.
My goodness.
Well, the bad defense continues.
Now, it's a base hit for Green, according to our official score.
Well, again, you have 2 balls here. I'm not saying they're easy plays. But that's an in-between hop for Cabrera as well, just like Swisher had. But both of them ruled base hits. But the throw here, you're not going to get him at third base, and you allow the guy to go to second. You take the double play away from your ground ball pitcher, which is a mistake. See, that's an error. It won't be scored as an error. It's just an error in judgment. You see where you had him stopped. You just throw it into second base because you didn't really have a chance at third.
But in all honesty, the inning should be over.
Well,
again, I'm not saying those are easy plays.
They're not easy plays. If they make the plays, it is over. But a little tougher than what it looks. But the way they've been going defensively, you don't expect them to make them, really. But the mistakes are made when you give up extra bases. And Masterson, a guy that gets 70% ground balls, you must keep the double play in order.
How many times do you see that, though, where a mistake is made and then it's compounded by trying to make up for the mistake?
You see that a lot. Defense, you can have a slump in defense like you do offensively, but you certainly can't do it when you're not scoring. You had better play. You had better tighten it up, man.
Now, let's face it, the Indians are in a rut where when they do make a mistake, it is costly. Whether it's an error or a walk or a hit batter, whatever it is, if they make a mistake, the other team seems to capitalize.
They do that up here a lot.
Swisher's coming home with a throw, and they got him. Nice play by Swisher there. Made a good throw to Santana, and all he had to do was apply the tag. Conger coming home on the throw is erased for the second out of the inning.
Well, you get a ball, one hopper right at him, and if it's hit hard at the corners, you come home. Swisher does that in plenty of time to get Conger. So they get the one out without allowing a run. He's got to get one more out and see if they can take advantage of it. See if Masterson can pick up his defense.
Cole Calhoun walked his first time up. Up high for ball one. Another lengthy inning, though, for Indian starter Justin Masterson.
I want to see if they send him here in this situation. First and third, 2 outs.
They do not. Calhoun fouls it out of play.
I know I would, because the way if Mark Trumbo can go over there and steal a base with 2 outs, this guy has much better speed. At first shuck, though, he's stolen 4, and he's been caught 4 times, so don't know if he's a good base stealer. He certainly has the speed.
Grant Green, the runner at third base. Two and one. Masterson fires, and there's a called strike. Evens the count at 2-2.
Throw to first.
Another problem for the Indians during this stretch. It's kind of one of those compounding situations where in their last 8 games, offensively, the Indians have scored multiple runs in an inning twice. The opposition, including the first inning today, has done it 14 times against them.
Yeah. Puts you in a hole.
Yeah, you give up the big inning and you can't counter, you can't answer back. It adds up to where you're at right now.
Well, that was like Friday night where they scored 5 in the first, and the bullpen did a terrific job to hold them the rest of the way, and you could only get 2 runs in that ball game. You couldn't manufacture anything else.
2 solo homers was it. The 2-2 Inside a full count. 50 pitches for Masterson, 25 balls, 25 strikes. And now the speedy J.B. Shuck will be off at first on the pitch. And the payoff. Ball 4, and the bases are loaded. And the last thing Terry Francona wants to do is have to get into his bullpen early again.
Well, and the last thing you want to do is walk when you have a Trout coming to the plate. That's the guy you want to go after. Calhoun, the younger player, Mickey Callaway going to come out and talk to Justin.
Well, it's evident here today he's had a tough time just commanding the ball.
It's unbelievable. I mean, we have seen him make starts before, Matt, where the ball does take over all over the place, but he can throw a four-seamer, a straight fastball.
Our Firestone Complete Auto Care Extra Mile Index coming into play today. Mike Trout, third in the league in batting average, third in runs scored, fourth overall in hits, and he's tied for second in doubles, tied for the league lead in triples. The pitch. Bullseye. Mike Trout and the Angels looking to land a haymaker here early. Masterson trying to get out of trouble. And Trout wouldn't bite. 1-1. Grant Green is at third.
That slider has been such a good pitch for him this year, but the one thing is, until they get to 2 strikes, they're not going to swing at it if they don't have to. You take it as a hitter.
Strike.
There you go. He took it. Now he's going to have to protect in a 1-2 count. Now you may get hitters to chase it. But unless you throw a good one just for a strike earlier in the at-bat, I don't think many hitters are going to try and swing at it because they know that's a nasty pitch for him.
The 1-2 pitch. Hit on the ground up the middle. Cabrera can't get it. Green scores. Shuck coming home. He'll score 2. 4-0 Angels as Trout drives in his 72nd and 73rd runs on the year. Calhoun went first to third on the play. And the Angels are out front early.
Well, they get a 2-out base hit. Look at that low sinker. Trout's a good low ball hitter. He gets enough of this, and he's strong enough to get the top spin to get it through the infield on that sinker down and in. So that is a 4-0 game for Trout, his 72nd and 73rd RBI.
Josh Hamilton taking a strike. He drove in a run his first time up, giving him 55 on the season. Fouled right back. Kept it in on his hands. It's 0-2. More pitches now here in the second inning than he made in the first. As he tries to labor his way through the inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hamilton fights it off, and he stays alive. Already the 60th pitch of the day coming up here for the Tribe right-hander. Man, he strikes him out. The Angels tack on 2 more. Middle of the second, 4-0 LA. Four nothing Angels on top. As the Indians come to bat here in the bottom of the second, it will be Asdrubal Cabrera, Michael Brantley, and Carlos Santana. Cabrera, in his last 13 games, has amassed just 8 hits in 53 at-bats. 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 for 8 in the series. Down low, no, a called strike. The ball almost hit the ground. 2-2 the count. Well, you can understand Cabrera's frustration.
Well, you let him know. You know, even though it's not a strike and it's down, it's a breaking ball. He gets the call, but it wasn't strike 3. So you just got to regroup, man, get back in.
Swings and misses at a fastball in off the plate. And he barks at Carapazza as he heads, and he just got ejected from the game.
Well, that's
Vic Carapazza runs Asdrubal Cabrera, who's now up in his face. And Terry Francona comes out to pick up the argument, but Cabrera's day is over. He didn't like the call, as you pointed out, and then he let the umpire get the best of him, swung and missed at strike 3 inside. And
he got the best of himself. He swung at the third pitch, which was not a strike. He swung at that one. It was a ball. And understandably, you're a little upset. But that's frustration. It's all starting to show right now. The way they're playing, mentally, they're just beat up. I mean, Francona has nothing else to do. He's got to go protect his guy. But you take your team out of it. So now he is no longer in this game. We'll see if Villa's coming in as short. But, you know, that ball goes. That's the one he called the strike for strike 2. Show the next pitch and watch him swing at it. They didn't make him swing at that.
One down. Michael Brantley coming up. Second time in his career that Asdrubal Cabrera has been ejected from a game. Brantley lifts one deep left field. On the run is Shuck. On the track, makes the catch in front of the wall for out number 2. Here's our injury report, brought to you by Elk & Elk Serious Lawyers. For serious injuries, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Well, the bad news for Cincinnati, Ryan Hannigan goes on, or actually they're getting them all back. They're getting them all back. Ryan Ludwig, he's been out since April.
First game of the year.
Yep. Starling Marte left last night's game for the Pirates. They can't afford to lose him. I mean, they're playing well. They lost last night, I believe, to Colorado. So they've dropped 2 in a row, but they still lead St. Louis by 4 in the NL Central. Cincinnati, meanwhile, is just 6 back, so they're creeping up in the standings as well. Carlos Santana has just 3 hits in his last 30 at-bats. Two and two. And he strikes him out. Boy, the Indians go 1-2-3 here in the second inning. And the Angels lead it 4-0. Now the Angels with a 4-0 lead as we go to the third inning. Mark Trumbo, Eric Ibar, Chris Nelson due up. Mike Aviles has taken over for Asdrubal Cabrera at shortstop, and he will bat fourth in the Indians lineup. Justin Masterson, meanwhile, has already made 60 pitches this afternoon. Two in the first And then he allowed 2 more in the second. Trumbo takes low, ball 1. There's a strike call to even the count. Inside he missed, 2-1. And waves at the off-speed pitch. It's 2-2. He rung him up. He didn't call the swing.
Wow.
He called the pitch. 4th strikeout for Masterson, 1 down, and Mark Trumbo is scratching his head.
Well, let's take a look at it. It looked away. I thought he might have called it on the swing after that, but that's a tough pitch to hit. If you're going to get that pitch all day, stay there.
Up comes Eric Ibar now. Ibar struck out swinging his first time up. Swung on and missed 1-1. He chased one down in the dirt. Ibar, past Gold Glove winner back in 2011. Bounces one to first, and Swisher's got it. 2 down. Let's go downstairs and see what Katie Witham has for us.
Well, Matt, if you don't have your tickets yet for August 24th, you want to make sure you get them now and be here early. The Minnesota Twins will be in town, and the first 10,000 fans through the gates will take home a Nick Swisher replica jersey afterwards. We will have post-game fireworks set to some of your favorite songs by U2. Go to Indians.com and get your tickets now, Matt.
Thanks, Katie. Here's Chris Nelson taking low, ball 1. Two and 0 the count. Did he go? They want an appeal. They get it. He did not go. 3-0. Bullseye, 3 balls and a strike. Chris Nelson, mentioned before, came via the Colorado Rockies originally, then the Yankees, now the Angels. Smashes that one up the middle. That's through. And a 2-out single keeps the inning alive.
Well, catch the rest of the 2013 season in HD quality on MLB.tv. Watch every out-of-market game live on more than 350 mobile and connected devices. MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere.
And a strike over the outside corner. There's a fly ball to deep right. There is Stubbs, and he'll make the catch. The inning is over. We'll go to the bottom of the third. 4-0 Angels. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Well, the Indians looking for some offense here as we go to the bottom half of the third. Jason Giambi, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Drew Stubbs due up. Angels put the shift on for Giambi. And Williams delivers outside ball one. Jerome Williams grew up on the big island of Honolulu. His parents both grew up in a rough section of New York, and they just wanted to get out of Dodge.
Well, they couldn't go any farther away.
Did they go or did they go?
No question about it. Let's go to the Rock and not get bothered.
Williams is a pretty candid professional athlete. He's talked about the fact that, you know, growing up on Hawaii, lots of extended family. Boy, can you imagine how many extended family members said, hey, we're thinking about relocating out there too. But, you know, lots of fans, he said, when they get together, he said, everybody cooks and the food. And he said,
yeah.
I eat everything. Hawaiian food, fast food, you name it. And he said one off season as he strikes out Giambi, he said, all I did was eat and lay out at the beach all day. Showed up for spring training over 250 pounds. And he said, I gotta get things in check here a little bit. So he started working out. But I loved his quote. He said, Rick, if I keep eating like that, I'll look like Sid Fernandez.
We're going to enter him into a sumo wrestling contest. Well, that could happen over there.
Well, he got himself turned around as far as, you know, spending the time in the gym with a strength and conditioning program. And he's tried to keep his weight around the 230 mark.
That pitch he just struck Giambi out on is that little comeback two-seam fastball, you know, that they throw into the lefties and it comes back over the plate.
In the hole, a base hit. Indians have their first base runner as Chisenhall comes through with a one-out single here in the home half of the third.
Well, Lonnie's going to get a fastball here. That two-seamer, he didn't get it down enough. And that's when he gets the ball up is when he gets hit. That's what you have to do if you're the Indians now. Try and get him to elevate that little two-seamer. And they have to get on the board here.
Bouncer towards short. Big hop for Ibar. Goes to second. There's one. No chance at a double play. But there are 2 down in the inning. Our great clip of the game from yesterday comes courtesy of Michael Bourne. An RBI hit. Tried to keep the Indians in it, and they were at that point.
That brought them to 3-2, and they had an opportunity first and third, and they couldn't capitalize on it from that point on. That's where the turning point was, in my opinion.
That's what Terry Francona said. He said, we go from 3-2, we got a chance to tie it or maybe take the lead depending on how the inning plays out. Instead, bing, bang, boom, you're out of that inning, and then the defense goes south, and you're staring up at 7-2 going, what just happened?
Big turning point. Again, now they got to revert back to like the game on Friday night. Put zeros on the board to hopefully offensively you can get yourself back into this game.
Now the Angels might be trying to figure out with Jerome Williams what they have. He's a guy who's pitched both in relief and as a starter. He's had games like 2 starts ago against Texas. He goes 7 2/3, 1 run allowed on 8 hits. But he's also had starts like July 12th against Seattle, 3 1/3, 6 runs on 7 hits.
Yeah, that's in the division too.
So they're probably trying to find out where is he most valuable. Because, as you know, you like to have a guy who can start because it gives you more outs, gets you deeper into a game than a guy who can just maybe get you an inning here and there.
Well, they've scuffled out of it. They're pitching.
In the air to left, Shuck near the line makes the catch. Through 3, it's the Angels 4 and the Indians nothing. Four 0 Angels on top as we go to the 4th inning. It will be Grant Green, J.B. Shuck, and Cole Calhoun.
We've got to send out some birthday wishes today. We have an opportunity. Ashby Scott, his birthday today. Ashby, happy birthday. We'll see him later in the day. He's our representative with United Airlines to help us fly the right way. And
hardest working man in the sky.
Yes, he is, and one of the nicest men in the world. So, Ashby, a very happy birthday to you. He gets us to where we're going, safe and sound.
Green takes a strike from Masterson. He singled and scored in the 2nd. Foul ball. Well, while you're on a roll there, happy birthday wishes to Sarah Holly over in Press Dining. She always greets us with a smile every day and does a tremendous job. Great hospitality over here in Press Dining. So, Sarah, happy birthday.
They do a great job as well. You're right.
Bounce to short. Avila stays with a tough hop. High throw, though, and Swisher can't get it. It's into the Angel dugout. It might have taken out one of their players. So Green goes down to second base.
It's going to be a hit and another error. This ball, once you go back, it's a tough play. He did everything he could. But when you're throwing with your momentum going back, you see he tries to get a little more on it. A little slight overthrow. Tough play. So there's the single, but with the ball bouncing into the seats, he's awarded second base. That's the error.
Not sure who it clipped in the Angel dugout, but one of those guys took it off the coconut.
Oh, yeah?
Shuck hammers at the first. Nice play by Swisher. Steps on the bag. It's the only out he'll get here as Green slides to third. Well, if you joined us late, here's the AT&T Universe Rewind. Here's your game in a nutshell. A couple of walks in the first inning, and then a base hit by Hamilton, and the Angels scored a pair. Then in the second inning, some shoddy defense. And the Angels took advantage, and they would score two more thanks to Mike Trout's two-run single. And the Indians offensively have one hit through the first three innings. Cole Calhoun with a runner at third and only one out. The Indians bring the infield in.
Yeah, it's time to cut it off. You have to. Offensively, when you're not scoring runs, anytime you get an opportunity, you got to try and cut that run off at home. They already did it once today.
That's true.
Back in the second inning. Until Trout got the two-out base hit, they had a chance to get out of the inning after they threw him out at home plate, but it was Conger, the catcher, coming to home plate.
Nothing into the count. Calhoun's walked twice now. He's down in the count. No balls, two strikes. And Masterson needing a strikeout. And a blooper will drop in there for a base hit, and the Angels add to their lead 5-0. If he's playing normal depth, maybe he makes that play. I don't know. Wasn't hit all that hard, but with the infield drawn in, all you got to do is put it in play sometimes.
That's where you love it as a hitter. Look at, he jams himself on this ball. It was a slider that he left up in the strike zone, so an easy pitch to hit. Even if he's playing back, he might have made the play. I don't think so. But that's the price. You love it offensively when the infield is in. More room. You just put the ball in play. They get another run. It's 5-0 now, Angels.
And Matt Albers is about to get loose in that Indians bullpen. He's logged a lot of miles here of late. Mike Trout, two-run single his last time up. Cuts under that one, 2-0. Now it's just one of those days where, from the get-go, Masterson has not had it. He's tried to fight his way through it, but he hasn't been able to keep the Angels from pecking away. 2 in the first, 2 in the second, one more here in the fourth. And there's a drive toward right field, but Stubbs is there to grab it. 2 down.
Well, when we return home from the road trip, the Twins will be back in town. That'll start August 23rd. It's a Friday, and it'll be Dollar Dog Night. And then the post-game fireworks show will be set to the Blues Brothers theme. It is presented by Wayside Furniture. So log on to Indians.com for your tickets.
Josh Hamilton already batting for the 3rd time today. He's the cleanup man here in the 4th inning. Talking about Matt Albers, who's up in the bullpen. It's not necessarily always just the innings the guys work in the games. Remember the other night when Kazmir was pitching, he was up, I think, 3 innings in a row before he got into the game.
Right. Yes, he was. Well, those guys down there, when you're running through a stretch like they're going through now, you have to learn how to pace yourself, even when you're getting loose, to come in, because sometimes, they may weather the storm for that inning and you don't come in and you have to sit down, and hopefully they don't have to get warm more than 2 times down in that bullpen. Or it's just like being used.
Yeah, as much work as he's had lately, I think he probably only needed about 3 or 4 pitches. 90 pitches already for Masterson, by the way. And that, I don't know, looked awfully good. 2-2. There's strike 3. Inning over. Angels get another run. Middle of the 4th. They lead it 5-0. Right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, all about the Benjamin. Critical Kosar and Game Connect. Boy, Bernie Kosar getting a little heat, man. He came out with some pointed comments about some of the players for the Rams the other night in the Browns preseason game, and head coach Jeff Fisher fired back against the former Browns quarterback. So, interesting.
Starting already in preseason, huh?
That's what I mean. It's like, come on, man, preseason. We talk about practice. Nick Swisher grounded to second base his first time up, a 1-ball, 1-strike count. High fly ball to right field. Calhoun makes the catch, and we got one away. Jason Kipnis fly to right, his first and only time up. Strike called. One ball, one strike. A little bit wide of the mark, 2-1. That's going to find its way out of play.
Finish up our birthday wishes today. Mary Gallus is turning 88. Marilyn Wynn, 76. And Dick Haben of Maumee is 82. Happy birthday to each and every one out there today.
Perfect day to celebrate. 2-2 delivery. Chopper over the mound. Green, off balance throw, but he makes a good toss over to Trumbo, 2 away. So here's Mike Aviles. He'll get his first at bat of the game after Asdrubal Cabrera was ejected back in the second inning when he struck out. And Aviles taking a strike. Picked at third by Nelson. Long throw on the money. Indians go 1-2-3. 4 complete. It's the Angels 5, the Indians nothing. Receiver only from AT Uverse. Rethink possible. And by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. Well, the Angels leading it by a score of 5-0. And we go to the 5th inning. And Justin Masterson back out there. Activity in the Tribe bullpen. I'm sure Terry Francona would like to see Masterson power through one more inning if he can. At 92 pitches, he knows he's going to be into that bullpen, though, again. Fairly early here today. Mark Trumbo. Fielder's choice RBI in the 1st inning. Struck out his last time up. Bounced right at Kipnis. And with one out here in the 5th, we'll go back to the Hyundai Studios for an in-game update with Al Pawlowski.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Rick, let's go to New York. Finally, Yankees fans have something to cheer about when it comes to A-Rod. See you later. His first of the year gives the Yankees the lead. They've added to it as well. It's 3-1 right now. New York leads Detroit and Verlander. They're in the 4th inning at Yankee Stadium. Matt?
All right, thanks, Al.
What happened? The ball fall out of his hand? Going into the windup, the ball just right out of the hand, down to the ground.
That's the kind of day it's been.
That's the kind of week it's been.
Here's the pitch. It's down low, 3-0 the count. Ibar has struck out, grounded out. And it's now 3-1. Ball 4. A one-out walk here in the 5th. Closest Masterson came to a 1-2-3 inning was in that 3rd when he had 2 outs, and then Chris Nelson banged a base hit. He got Conger following Nelson to end the inning, but other than that, boy, it has been an absolute struggle for him each and every inning.
Well, this is going to be pitch number 100 for him right here in the 5th, so it is. It's uncharacteristic for Justin. Started out right from the 1st, all over the place.
Those first 2.
Yeah, you can't. 30 pitches in an inning almost. 28, 32. It averages out to 30.
And he hits Nelson. So now they've got 2 on with 1 out.
Yeah, that's going to do it because I think Frank Cona's coming out. He's witnessed enough. He got underneath that ball, and he had no chance of getting out of the way. So, bad start for Justin Masterson.
4 1/3 innings for the Indians right-hander here this afternoon. And that might be his shortest start of the season. So he's out. And today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen is for left-hander Rich Hill. He's coming on when we come back. Sports One will be your home for live sports. Shows like Crowd Goes Wild, Fox Football Daily, and Fox Sports Live. The news and highlight shows fans have been waiting for. America's new sports network. Fox Sports 1 premieres August 17th.
Yeah, 6 more days, a week. It'll be next Saturday. Fox Sports 1. Here we go, baby.
Got a timeout here at the old ball yard. Rich Hill was coming on to pitch, but something wrong with the mound. And they're waiting on the grounds crew to come out and do a little repair work.
We saw this last homestand, didn't we? Or was it this homestand where they had to come out and repack it? I'm trying to think who the pitcher was. It was a left-hander.
It was Chicago. It was when Chris Sale was pitching, right?
Okay.
It was the last homestand. I think you're right. It was Rick. It was somebody who.
It was a left-hander on the mound.
It was Chris
Sale.
Came
back and
yeah.
For whatever reason, there was a couple of holes out there. So they did. Let me send out a special salute to John Wamsley. He's a lifelong Tribe fan in Sandusky, Ohio. So, John, I'd like to say hello to you today.
Well, they are doing the repairs necessary while Rich Hill makes a few tosses to try to get loose. We'll see if that's satisfactory for Rich Hill.
Well, they packed in. Obviously, he felt that his foot was too deep in that hole near the pitching rubber. So they fixed it. Okay for now, I guess. So he can continue his warm-ups and get ready to come into this game. Tough start today for Justin Masterson. His shortest one of the year, 4 1/3 innings. Gave up 7 hits. 5 runs, and he is responsible for the one on first base.
Walked 4, struck out 5, hit a batter. Just wasn't his day.
No. Well, that's usually when you get to your main man in the rotation. When you're going through struggles like the Indians are right now, that's what you're looking for, that guy to come in and stop a losing streak. And he hasn't been able to do it. And this year, after Indians' losses, actually the best pitcher the Indians have had after an Indians loss this year has been Ubaldo Jimenez.
Well, and as Terry Francona said last night, and he did his job last night in the ballgame, Jimenez, he pitched,
kept it
pitched
close.
well, kept him in the game. It fell apart on him late night. He didn't help himself much. Made a costly error that hurt. But at the same time, it's been a very, very difficult stretch. And now Hank Conger coming up with 2 on and 1 out. Rich Hill. Runners go. Pitch is outside, and they can't get him.
Double steal, and on the first pitch, what a good time to go when you're a base runner on that first pitch from a guy coming out of the bullpen, because he's worried about getting ahead of the hitter, and then they pick the absolute perfect pitch, a big, slow curveball. They get a good jump. They're in safely, so 2 more stolen bases for the Angels. Now they set up the inning, and they have to bring the infield in again.
And a strike is called. You know, it's funny. Coming into this series, the Angels were coming off of a series in which the Rangers had run wild against them. And the Angels had given up more stolen bases than any team in baseball, and yet the Indians haven't even had a stolen base attempt against them in this series. 3 steals today, though, for the Angels.
Yeah, they're 6 out of 7 in the series. They're returning the favor, and this is a team that they've always been like this. But this year is a little different. But when the opportunity presents themselves, you can see Mike Scioscia's not going to hesitate. 5-0 lead, you stay aggressive.
Swing and a miss. Conger goes down. 2 away. Big strikeout for Rich Hill right here.
On the breaking ball. Just had a tough time waiting back on it.
Meanwhile, Grant Green is 2 for 2. 2 singles, 2 runs scored. Misses down low. 2-0 the count. It's low, 3-0. If Green gets aboard, J.B. Shuck would be next. And he will bat with the bases loaded and 2 outs here in the 5th inning. Shuck 0 for 3 on the afternoon. 3 for 10 in the series. Yankees leading Detroit 4-1 in the 5th inning. Alex Rodriguez homering in that game for New York. It seems like it's a daily bizarre story that comes out of the Big Apple with regards to him. The other day the story came out the Yankees were going to try to find him for when he missed some time during his rehab stint.
Well, the good thing is we're done with him. And the Angels they're going there.
They are
when
headed
they leave
to New
here.
York. Yep.
Yeah, after they leave here, they're heading to New York for their trip to the Big Apple.
2-0 the count, and Santana's going to go on and talk to Hill.
6 straight balls now.
But you got your lefty-lefty matchup. This is the guy you've got to go at. And Rich knows that. Ooh, that makes it tough right there. Now J.B. Shuck is in the driver's seat. He can sit back and wait. Outside corner, good pitch there. 2-1. Two-one pitch. Slow curve hit towards third. Chisenhall looks to second. He'll go to first, and the inning is over. The Angels leave him loaded. Middle of the 5th, it's still 5-0. Halos. Beautiful day on this Sunday afternoon. Tell you what, the first 11 days of August have been as mild as I can ever remember.
Yeah, I agree. The hot, humid weather, I haven't seen it, have we?
No.
Which is just fine.
No complaints. Michael Brantley takes a strike fly to deep left, his first and only time up. Brantley comes in riding a 6-game hitting streak. Just inside off the plate. Slow curve, and that's a good pitch. Caught the inside part of the plate. Evens the count of 2-2. That's that reverse sinker. Came back over the inside corner. Fourth strikeout for Williams. One down in the fifth. Let's get the answer to the AT&T trivia question today. The 3 players with 500 bombs and 100 triples. Willie Mays is one.
Willie Mays, right. Let's see what we have.
Babe Ruth, maybe?
The Babe,
and
yeah.
Double X.
Yeah.
$1929 on this day, Babe Ruth hit his 500th career home run, according to Redbird. How about that? Takes a strike, does Carlos Santana, and it's 0-2. Way outside. Swing and a miss. Carlos Santana's spiral continues. Boy, he struck out twice here today. And now just 3 for his last 32.
Well, you can get a Nick Swisher replica jersey and enjoy fireworks August 24th. The Indians will play the Minnesota Twins. The first 10,000 through the gates will receive a jersey, courtesy of Kia Motors. Post-game fireworks will be set to U2.
Swing and a miss.
That's when he's at his best. He throws that little two-seamer. He can throw it to the inside part of the plate and also the outside part. He's been effective today with the strikeouts when he throws it in when he gets to 2 strikes.
You know, he has been just a model of efficiency here this afternoon. The Indians only have 1 hit. That was Alani Chisenhall 1-out single in the 3rd. Bounced into the teeth of the shift. Green from the outfield grass throws him out. The Indians again go 1, 2, 3. And Jerome Williams has retired 8 straight. Season is in the books, and the Browns are back in Berea. Find out what happened today on Training Camp Daily tonight at 11:30 on Sports Time Ohio. Cole Calhoun to lead off for the Angels. Rick, going back in the old history books, Otto Hess, a pitcher for Cleveland back in 1906, probably wasn't a whole lot of fun to face. He hit 24 batters that year. That's the Indians' single season record for
Masterson just hit his, 15th?
Yeah, that's the most since Willie Mitchell hit 15 in 1910.
Wow, that's a long way back. 100 years ago you're going back, huh? Well, and Pfister was the guy. So he tied Pfister. Pfister hit his 15th when he was in town with Detroit.
Two and two the count on Calhoun. Out of play. This homestand is reminiscent of a stretch of games for me that the Indians went through in 2004. And it's weird because the timing is very similar. Back in 2004, on August the 14th, the Indians beat Minnesota to close to within one game of the Central Division lead.
Okay, I know where you're going here.
And lost their next 9 in a row.
That was in 2004, huh?
2004.
Okay.
And that losing streak started right here at Progressive Field. It was the Sunday series finale against Minnesota.
Gorikoski.
Yeah. And that was it. I mean, they went on and just the bottom fell. They went to Texas, lost all 3 there. Went to Minnesota, lost all 3 there. Lost a couple back home. Wow, close pitches. He's not getting any of them. Cole Calhoun draws a leadoff walk. And so you went from a game out to 8 games out just like that in the blink of an eye. And that's kind of where this is going. They were 3 games out with Detroit coming in. Boom, all of a sudden you look up, now you're 8 back. And that's how quickly things can change in baseball if you slip on the old banana peel.
And everything was right in front of them on this homestand. You had the team in town that you wanted to play, the team that was in front of you. And the team, they did damage. They beat up on the Indians in 4 games, won all 4. And the Indians haven't recovered.
Now that team in 04 was 8 games over 500 when they got to within a game of first place. So they weren't quite as ahead of the curve, record-wise as this team was. That team never really recovered. They finished a couple games below 500. What I'm going to be curious to see is where does this team go? And the players have been talking about it with the media. We're going to find out what we're made of. We're going to find. Well, yeah, we are going to find out because the schedule is unrelenting, and you've got to keep bringing it. A lot's been said of, well, maybe they're out of the division, but the wild card's still there. Yeah, it is, but they have to win a game first.
This has been a streaky team all year, up and down and up and down. And, there's no reason why they can't stop this thing, turn it around, and get on another good streak. There's no reason. They can't do it.
Yep. So there's your wild card standings coming into today.
I think you forget about the Central. You got to stay focused, more on the wild card. But really, you have to focus on your own game. Can't worry about where you're at in the standings. You just have to play solid baseball, and they haven't done that in the last 3 or 4 games.
Well, you talk about the streakiness of this club. They won 4 straight going into the All-Star break. Come out of the break, they lost 4 out of 5. Then they reeled off, 8 straight and 10 out of 11. And now they've lost 6 straight. It's just...
And looking at 7 in the eyes.
Runner goes, fouled right back. Another throw over, and Calhoun doesn't have much of a lead. He's got good speed, but he's just been taken off whenever the chance is there. He's thrown over there about a half dozen times. He hasn't even had him leaning once. Trout called out on strikes. 1 away. Our in-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Josh Hamilton, an RBI single in the first inning as the Angels jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Trout drove in a pair in the second as they made it 4-0. And then Cole Calhoun, an RBI single in the fourth, made it 5-0. And that has been all the scoring so far here today. Josh Hamilton, a couple of strikeouts on the day since he had that RBI knock in the first inning. Breaking ball and just missing apparently, 2-0. Matt Albers up again for the second time. He's ready. Right-handed hitter on deck, probably the last hitter for Hill as he throws over to first again. All the way to the backstop. Well, we won't have to worry about Calhoun getting to second anymore. He's already down there now.
Well, this ball started way inside. I'm surprised he got out of the way. Hamilton gets off and then really backing off. Another wild pitch, though, for the Tribe.
Three-0 count on Hamilton. And a strike is called. Hamilton lays off its ball 4, and Hale has walked a pair in the inning. Both of the left-handed hitters. He struck out the right-hander.
Well,
And here comes Terry Francona.
Yeah.
He's going to go back to his bullpen.
Been a bad homestand for the staff. 34 walks for Tribe pitchers on this homestand, and they have only walked 10 times. We have given up 34 as a team.
Offensively, we've only drawn 10 walks.
Right,
I got
correct.
you. I got you.
Correct.
Okay. Today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen. Matt Albers coming on next. Angels on top 5-0. And Matt Albers coming on for the Tribe. Albers on for the 38th time this year. Had a good note on Albers, but I don't know where it went.
Oh, there's many times he's warmed up here.
Here we go. It's his 4th appearance on the homestand. He's already worked 4 innings.
So he's 4 pitches.
That's a lot of work in. What, this is game 7 on the homestand?
That's 4 appearances now. How many times has he been up in that bullpen, as you mentioned a couple of times early in the game on Friday night?
Goes right at Mark Trumbo with a fastball for strike 1. Trumbo 0 for 3 on the day, 1 for 12 in the series. Foul back out of play. The 0-2 down low. It's inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Angels leading at 5-0 and a chance to really blow it open here. Albers trying to keep it at a manageable deficit.
This is the third inning today that the Angels have walked at least twice in an inning. They did it in the first where they scored 2 runs. They walked twice in the 5th inning. They left the bases loaded. They weren't able to score. They have 2 in this inning. So, I mean, a lot of these innings have been set up by the walks.
They've got him paranoid after that double steal last inning. Trying to keep him close. Albers fires. Trumbo hits it to right field. Stubbs slides and makes the catch. Runners hold, 2 down. Fine running catch made by Drew Stubbs. With the wind blowing in today as he went after that ball, you could see the wind knocking it down, so he really had to hightail it to get there.
Well, and I'll tell you, it's tough playing defense on a day like today when the pitchers are all over the place. They're not throwing a lot of strikes, and you can be caught flat-footed, but he makes a fine running catch, comes in, he's going to slide, catch it. Nice play, out number 2.
And Eric Ibar to the plate. Ibar has struck out, grounded out, and walked in the game. Low ball 1. Boy, you know, the other day I was talking about Mike Scioscia, and he referred to J.B. Shuck as bringing the same kind of intensity to the game as David Eckstein did. You think of David Eckstein as sort of an undersized guy, maybe an overachiever, but played hard, played the game the right way. And the Angels have had a lot of players cut from that same type of cloth. You think of Ibar, not a big guy, but scrappy, does everything,
yes.
Pretty solid. Callaspo was that way. They had him here for a while.
Blue-collar type of workers,
Yeah.
you know, where they got to go out, and you're right. Well, David Eckstein was the epitome of that. Little guy, and, I mean, he was a gamer.
It looked like every time he threw the ball to first base, it was barely going to get there, but it did every time, and just in time to get that runner.
Played with a lot of heart.
Yeah, gritty. Just a gritty player. 2-2. Grounded right at the second baseman. And Jason Kipnis will throw him out. The inning is over. We'll go to the last half of the 6th. 5-0 Angels. Well, right now the Angels have the upper hand, 5-0. And the Indians will send Lonnie Chisenhall, Drew Stubbs, Michael Bourne to the plate here in the 6th. Lonnie Chisenhall is the only Indians batter to reach base in this game. He singled in the 3rd inning, and that has been it. There's a high fly ball, and that's going to drift foul.
Out of play.
Nelson to the seats, can't get to it. That was just the 60th pitch made today by Jerome Williams. He strikes out Chisenhall. That's his 6th strikeout of the afternoon. 1 down here in inning number 6. And back downstairs we go to Katie Witham.
Well, Matt, the Indians will be back here at Progressive Field on August 23rd. You want to make sure you're here because it's Sugardale Dollar Dog Night. And we'll also have post-game fireworks presented by Wayside Furniture. Those fireworks will be set to the Blues Brothers. So log on to Indians.com and get your tickets right now.
What night was that?
Dollar Dog Night.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure I got it right for you guys.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
I've been practicing.
It shows.
Drew Stubbs bounced into a fielder's choice his first time up. Bounced over toward the dugout. Back-to-back strikeouts. Williams is getting better.
Well, he's not an overpowering guy. He relies on keeping the ball down, east and west. In and out, up and down, little cutter. He does throw a curveball, but he'll throw the two-seam fastball inside and outside, and he's been all over his game today. 7 punch-outs.
And he struck out 4 of the last 5. That's why I said it's almost like he's getting better.
Yeah, he had 11, but that came in the month of April out of the bullpen. But that's the most in a start he's had this year.
He struck out 11 in a game out of the bullpen?
No. I said in the month of April. In 8 games, he struck out 11. In April, he was out of the bullpen, and then the 5th of May is when he just came into the rotation. And 7, that's the most he's had.
Michael Bourne rips a single into right center field.
I deked you.
That would have been the greatest game in relief ever. Now Michael Bourne breaks it up with a base hit here. The 2 gone in the 6th. First Indian to reach since Chisenhall's single in the 3rd. And now Nick Swisher 0 for 2. He is grounded out and flied out. And a foul ball to count 0-1 as the Indians looking for something here. They hang their hat on. There's a fly ball deep left center field. Trout on the roof. He's looking up. And it is gone! Nick Swisher clears the railing, and the Indians are on the board. The shutout broken up with a 2-out, 2-run homer by Swish, his 12th of the year. RBIs number 36 and 37, and it's a 5-2 ball game. Boy, the Indians have hit so many balls to that left center field gap in this series, and how many of them have just died a step or two in front of that wall. That one finally carried out of here.
And I'll tell you, with no help from the wind, so he really got all of this ball, and he drove it to left center field, high and deep. Gets it over there and gets it out of the ballpark. So the Indians are on the board. Comes with 2 outs. So now a 5-2 ball game. The 12th home run for Nick Swisher. The 18th given up by Jerome Williams.
And now Jason Kipnis 0 for 2. Moved his feet.
You're looking up high. That wind's blowing in from right field. You see the off the hands of the fan. Drops back into play.
Downstairs, 3-1. Now the 3-1. Ball 4. Inning stays alive, so the 2-out rally continues for Mike Aviles now. Aviles grounded out his only time up. Aviles did not start in this ball game. He came on back in the 2nd inning when Asdrubal Cabrera was ejected by home plate umpire Vic Carapazza. He took issue with a strike call in that at bat, and after he struck out, he barked at him. He was ejected. And now Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, going to go out to talk with Williams.
Yeah, he's got to slow it down because you have to get somebody up here. Because the first 2 hitters, they struck out. As we'll take a look back at the 1st inning, he didn't like strike 2 call right there, argued it, and then swings at the next pitch that's off the plate, and then said something he probably shouldn't have said to the umpire because he was ejected for the 2nd time in his career. But he had his say, and he went into the showers. But you got to stall a little bit. He had the first 2 guys struck out in this inning, and then a 1-out single. Swisher takes him deep the other way, and now a walk.
And now Mike Aviles trying to keep the inning rolling here. Outside corner, a strike is called. Aviles tees off. Deep left field. Shuck back. Look it up. Gone to Souvenir City. Mike Aviles with the Indians' 2nd 2-run homer of the inning. And it's a 1-run game now at 5-4. The Tribe Bats finally coming to life and waking up this crowd here this afternoon as well. And Jerome Williams doesn't know what just hit him.
Well, how about this? All coming with 2 outs. And Aviles got this ball. I said if he's up in the strike zone, he is very hittable. And he's starting to show that now. Aviles gets his 7th home run. And they're stalling for time right now.
I think Socha's already made up his mind. He's just making sure the bullpen's ready. And here he comes. But Mike Aviles coming off the bench. And he hits a big 2-run homer here in the 6th. And now the Indians are going to make a game of this yet. It's a 1-run ball game as Jerome Williams will be yanked from the game after he had struck out 4 out of 5 hitters. Had 2 outs, nobody on base. And then the Indians finally got their stroke on. We got a timeout. 5-4 Angels. So the Indians make it a game of it now with 4 runs home here in the 6th inning. 14th time the Indians have had 2 homers in an inning this year. Last time they did it June 15th against Washington.
Well, how about a multiple run inning? Huh? And it all started with 2 outs. A couple of 2-run home runs. Single, a homer, a walk, a homer.
The Indians had 2 multi-run innings in their last 91 innings of play before this 4-run 6th. And now Michael Brantley to the plate to face Buddy Boschers, and the pitch is up high, ball 1. Boschers dealing, Brantley fouls it back. Michael fly to deep left back in the 2nd inning and struck out in the 5th. Bounced out to second baseman Green. He throws him out. So after 6 innings, it's a 1-run game now. A pair of 2-run homers in the 6th. Have the Indians fighting back. 5-4 Halos. With 18 locations in Northeast Ohio and by Levin. A look in at the ballpark from our Panini cam, brought to you by Panini's Bar and Grill. 5-4 ball game now as we go to the 7th inning. And Matt Albers, who got the final 2 outs of the 6th inning, will stay on the pitch here in the 7th. He's got the bottom third of the order here. Chris Nelson, Hank Conger, and Grant Green. Inside corner, a called strike. Right back to Albers. He's got it. Throws to first. 1 away.
You know, you talk about this bullpen and Matt Albers coming on for the 4th time on this homestand. As far as the pitching goes, the starters have pitched just 38 innings on the homestand and have thrown 629 pitches. The bullpen has thrown 27. They're going to end up with 30 should this go 9 innings and the Indians can come back.
Of course, you did have that 1 14-inning game
right
mixed in there. Ryan Shaw getting loose in the Tribe pen as we speak, and there's a high fly ball. Should be playable here. Brantley in near the line, still moving his feet. He's into foul ground, and he's got it 2 down. This season, one lucky fan will get a chance to join the Fox Sports Girls Fantasy Football League. Enter now at foxsports.com/fantasy draft for your chance to win a trip to L.A. for the live draft and to compete against the Fox Sports Girls this season. Now, Grant Green takes a look at ball 1. He has singled twice, scored 2 runs, and he has also walked. Ripped foul, third base side. The 1-1. Just missed inside. Now strike over the outside edge, evens the count. 2-2. This could be huge right here for Albers to get a 1-2-3, especially after you just got the bats going, you got some runs.
Yes.
You need a 1-2-3 and get them right back in there. 2-2 pitch. Ooh. Wow, that looked awfully good. 95 miles an hour right on the outside part of the plate. Was it off the dish? Yeah, it looked like it might have been just a little bit outside. Tough to lay off there for Green. Now the 3-2. Grounds that one to third. Chisenhall stays with it, throws, got him. Matt Albers does his job. He's retired all 5 that he has faced. And now we've reached the 7th inning stretch with the Tribe ready to fire up the bats again. They trail 5-4. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be. Well, as we promised earlier, it's Miller time. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Nick Swisher stayed on it, drove it up and out. 2 runs on the board. 2 batters later, Mike Aviles turned on a ball and smoked it out of here. Another 2-run shot. And just like that, a 5-0 lead for the Angels is now down to a single digit at 5-4.
Well, they got that spark with Swisher's home run, and then Aviles follows suit. Now it's time to see J.C. Gutierrez coming on for the 3rd straight game. 35 times he has appeared in a ball game, 0-2, 3.62 ERA.
When did you play down in Latin America last?
Gutierrez, 1974.
It stayed with you.
It has. And plus we had Franklin Gutierrez here in Cleveland.
Now Carlos Santana. Well, I'll tell you what, he has really been in a serious slump for him. Every player goes through their ups and downs. But for Santana, who's a guy who takes his walks, sees a lot of pitches, this has really been...
well, he's caught in between, and he's got that high leg kick, and he's got to get it back to keep it short and sweet.
Takes outside ball 1.
Yeah, and when you're in like grooves like this as a hitter, you know you're struggling, and you try too hard to get out of it. He's just his swing's getting a little longer. He's topping a lot of pitches, but
he just teed off deep right field. Calhoun back. He's out of room. It's out of here. Tie game. Santana, a solo shot to deep right field, his 13th of the year. His 50th run batted in, and the Indians have powered their way back into a tie with the Angels. 3 homers in the last 2 innings now.
Yeah, he picked down a fastball. I guess he kept this one short enough to get a fastball away, and watch the swing. Right here, he picks it up, puts it down, and that ball was away where it was right into his swing path, and he hit a long way. So we have a new ball game. How about that? And that happened in a hurry.
It seems odd to say that on a fastball he stayed back, because a lot of times you maybe got to gear up.
Well,
he didn't overswing that time.
His foot got down enough, and it was right on his plane away. You know, it caught him in the right zone. That's all.
He definitely got all of it. And now Jason Giambi 0 for 2 on the day.
Yeah, they caught up in a matter of 6 hitters. How about that? Down 5-0, and 6 hitters later, it's 5-5.
Giambi looks at a ball outside. 2-1 the count. This has been a problem area for the Angels this year. Their bullpen and not knowing what they're going to get appearance to appearance. A strike called, and it's even at 2-2. Now, granted, it's only 1 run. The starter, Williams, gave up the first 4. Giambi drives one to center. Trout is there, right at him. 2-1 away here in the 7th, and we'll go back to the Hyundai Studios for an in-game update with Al Pawlowski.
Hey, Matt, let's go down to Kansas City, where it looks like the Royals are showing no weakness yet. Alex Gordon, home run to right field. That's his 13th of the year. The Royals take a 4-1 lead over the Boston Red Sox behind James Shields. They're in the 5th inning at the K. Matt?
Thanks, Al. Here is Lonnie Chisenhall, 1 out of 2 on the day. Singled back in the 3rd, struck out his last time up. Slashed out of play. With 2 outs in the 6th inning and nobody on base, the Indians had 1 hit in the game. And then, as Rick said, in the span of 6 batters, they scored 5 runs.
The long ball erases a lot, doesn't it?
1-1 pitch outside. Then we said it the other night when they got behind 5-0. They only had 2 solo shots. The rest of that ball game to try to chip away at the Angels. You get a couple of 2-run dingers, and all of a sudden that deficit shrinks in a hurry. There you have it. Out of play, 2-2. In tight. And now a full count for Chisenhall. With activity in that Angel bullpen, they've got a couple of different guys up to look at. Lefty, righty. Right-handed hitting Drew Stubbs is up next. Here's the payoff pitch to Chisenhall, and a foul back. J.C. Gutierrez. Delivers. Down low, ball 4. Good eye by Chisenhall. Now the Indians have the go-ahead run aboard with 1 out. Well, Drew Stubbs 0 for 2 on the night, on the day. He bounced into a fielder's choice in the 3rd, struck out his last time up. Juan Carlos Gutierrez. He deals. And Stubbs shoots it out of play to the right. Gutierrez and other guys come back after Tommy John surgery. There's a bouncer up the middle. It's through. Chisenhall will stop at second. And Drew Stubbs keeps the line moving with a base hit here in inning number 7. Now we roll over to the top of the order, and Mike Scioscia is going to roll on out to the pitcher's mound and make himself another change.
Stubbs gets a fastball that he's able to get on top of, but hit the top part of that ball straight into the ground, but he couldn't have placed it any better as it rolls right back up the middle. So now you're right. You move the line along. They're going to get a new pitcher. We're rolling it up to the top of the lineup. And the lefty's coming on to face Bourne.
We'll be right back. 6-5 our score, bottom of the 7th inning. And the Angels go back to their bullpen. And the left-hander Nick Morande coming on now. In his 9th appearance on the year. He's a former third-round pick out of the University of Florida. Actually made his big league debut last season. And in a handful of games did very well. So far this year in a handful of games, not so much. Bourne shoots one to left field, a base hit. Coming around third with the go-ahead run. Chisenhall will score. Michael Bourne didn't even spot him a pitch. He jumped right on it. His second hit in as many at-bats in this game, and the Indians have come all the way back to take a 6-5 lead.
Yeah, no reason spotting him a pitch when you can come up there. You're looking first ball fastball if you've never faced a guy before, and Michael just jumped on it, but he put a nice swing on it to take it the other way. He got a big hit for the Indians last night to cut it to 3-2. But today, he comes up and gives the Indians a 6-5 lead with one good swing. Morande comes on and makes one pitch, and his day is over because he wants the right-hander.
So the revolving door continues to spin in that Angel bullpen. Another timeout. The Tribe now leads at 6-5. Two on and still only one out. Nick Swisher coming to the plate. Right-hander Kevin Jepson. Hard thrower. Right-hander for the 39th appearance this year. 1-3, 4.06 ERA. Jepson spent 5 years in the minor leagues before he got a chance to pitch with the big league club. He was a second-round pick back in 2002.
Well, how about that? Within 9 hitters of last inning, the Indians have taken the lead, 6-5.
And again, they're looking for more now. Nick Swisher stands in. I mean, when you've gone as long as they've gone with the kind of offensive drought they've had, boy, they're frothing at the mouth to get up there now.
Right.
They got some good feelings flowing. Swisher started this whole thing off with a 2-run homer last inning. That got the Indians on the board, and it injected some life.
After 2 were out.
Right. 2 outs, base is empty. Bourne started it with a single. Swisher followed with an opposite field blast to the bleachers.
That's
just
no
over the
cheapie.
railing.
That is no cheapie. Going the other way today with that wind knocking it down.
And, of course, 2 batters later, Mike Aviles hit a 2-run shot. Cut it to 1. Carlos Santana tied it with a solo homer in this inning. And then Michael Bourne just gave the Indians the lead. The 1-0. Bounce towards first. Trumbo will step on the bag for out number 2. Now Stubbs to third, Bourne to second base. And up comes Jason Kipnis. Everyone who has played Major League Baseball always remembers their Major League debut, as Jason Kipnis is going to be intentionally walked here. It's just one of those things, right, Rick? You remember the game, the place, who you faced, all that stuff. Kevin Jepson will never forget his Major League debut, and a lot of people, when he tells them the story, they're not going to be sure that he's not making it up. First time he gets into a ball game, he retired Derek Jeter, Bobby Abreu, and Alex Rodriguez 1-2-3 in the 8th inning.
There you go. It doesn't get much better, does it?
Not too shabby. That was back in 2008 when he made his debut. He'll be facing Mike Aviles, right-handed hitter here with the bases loaded and 2 outs. This was Aviles back in that 6th inning.
Yeah,
after Kipnis walked.
He followed suit. They walked Kipnis. Aviles jumped all over that pitch, and a pair of 2-run homers in the inning. And that gave them 4 runs today with 2 outs and nobody on. They have scored 67 times like that this year. 2 outs, nobody on. And been able to plate 67. That's pretty good.
Well, now a 2-out hit would really be something. Give them a little breathing room. They lead it by a run. Stubbs at third, Bourne at second, Kipnis now at first. Jepson misses up high with an off-speed pitch for ball 1. The 1-0. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. This crowd that has been silent all day long until the Swisher homer in the 6th, but they're eating it up now. And the 2-0 pitch. Fouled right back. He had one, didn't he?
Healthy cut. He had it. He fouled it off.
Smacked himself on the batting helmet. He'd love another shot at that one.
Well, he put a good swing on it, but I think he just pulled his head a little bit. Look at that. He tried to go back a little farther than he hit his last one instead of just a nice. Put a good stroke on it. 2-0 fastball. He got it and fouled it off.
The 2-1. And he got him to face to chase one that time. 2-2. I think he was checking with the home plate umpire to see if he swung at a strike.
He wasn't going to get that 2-1 cookie he got, or 2-0 cookie he got the last pitch. He came back and made a really good pitch on the outside part of the plate.
Bases loaded, 2 down. Tribe up a run here in the bottom of the 7th, and the 2-2 pitch. Lays off. It was low, full count. So now everybody will be rolling on this 3-2 pitch to Mike Aviles. He's the 8th man to bat in the inning. Crowd are getting up, everybody up on their feet. Aviles awaiting the payoff pitch from Jepson. And a ground ball to third. Nelson has it, throws across, inning over. The Indians have come all the way back from a 5-0 deficit, and in the last 2 innings, they've played at a half dozen to take the lead. Any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. We going out of the 8th inning here at Progressive Field. The Indians on top by a run. The Angels jumped on the Indians early when Justin Masterson was just having a tough time commanding the baseball. But what a difference this game has been early and late.
Yeah, 2 innings. It's turned around. The first 5 were the Angels, and so far the 6th and 7th have been Indians. Joe Smith coming on now for the Indians. Replaces Albers, who did a nice job coming on, getting his outs today. Turn it over to Joe for the 50th time. 4-1 record, 2.93 ERA. He's got the top of the lineup against the Angels.
J.B. Shuck, Cole Calhoun, Mike Trout. Low ball 1. Shuck 0 for 4 all 4 times he's bounced the ball on the ground. One was a little comebacker to the mound. Hit a ground ball to first his second time up, and runner got erased at home plate. Grounded out to first in the 4th, bounced to third in the 5th. But he's in a 2-0 count here facing Joe Smith. Three and 1. Hit to center field. Michael Bourne makes the catch. 1 away. Stay tuned for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Comes your way following the game right here on Sports Time Ohio. Cole Calhoun has been on base safely all 4 times today. 3 walks, an RBI single, and he has scored a run. Shaves the outside corner with that fastball. Missed with the slider. It's 1-1. At the knees. And he gets ahead 1-2. Ernesto Frieri and Michael Kahn on your right. There's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Joe Smith strikes him out, 2 down.
Well, didn't mess around, did he? See that sinker running away from him. Calhoun comes up swinging, misses. Out number 2 for Joe.
And with 2 down, Mike Trout, the batter. He is 1 for 3 officially on the day. A 2-run single back in the second. He has also walked and scored. Outside corner, a called strike. Low and away. Now 2 balls and a strike. Keeping everything away from Trout. He's got tremendous power. And a line drive base hit into right field. So a 2-out single keeps the inning alive. And it will bring up Josh Hamilton. Indians go into the shift with Josh Hamilton at the plate. RBI single for Hamilton in the first. He struck out in the second and fourth innings, walked his last time up. And a strike is called. Rick, when you got a base stealer of Trout's caliber late in a game like this, if you're Mike Socia, do you just give him the, hey, if you can get it, go ahead and take it?
Yeah, I would think so with 2 outs here in this situation. But you have to be sure because you got Hamilton up. He can take you out of the ballpark. You don't want to run it out. And, you know, Smitty with the left-hander here, even if he steals second, will be extra careful, I think, here with Hamilton.
Well, he gets ahead of him 0-2.
Made a couple of good pitches to him. You know, you may want to take off now.
2 strike pitches up high, almost like a pitch out, just in case.
Yeah, you're afforded that luxury when you get ahead of the hitter. You don't have to throw anything. He's had some success against Joe. 3 for 6.
Smith going to relace the shoe. Back out of play. One ball and 2 strikes with 2 down. And Mike Trout, the runner at first base. Fouled right back. Trout, I don't know if he was just bluffing a move or if he just didn't get the kind of jump he wanted, but he stopped.
Smitty's pretty tough to run on. Even though he throws it underhand, he's pretty quick. And as a base steal, you don't want to get thrown out here. You're on base, a gap or anything in the gap, you can, with his speed, tie the score. Get down to the final few outs, you certainly don't want to make them on the bases.
Smith comes set. And a throw to first draws Trout's attention back to the bag. And again, Josh Hamilton just keeps fouling pitches off. Smith's 20th pitch of the inning. The runner goes, and another foul back by Josh Hamilton.
He had a great jump there. He just didn't get as big a lead, but took off on a more of a timing thing. But with 2 strikes, you have to swing at anything close. Hamilton did. Watch his jump, and I mean, he was getting ready to go head first. Watch this, knowing. Get down, nope. He saw the finish line, and then realized it was a foul ball.
Looked like he was itching to go again. What makes guys like Trout, and I think Michael Bourne's in the same category, when they take off, they're at full speed 2 strides into it. I mean, it doesn't take them long to get going quick.
Yeah, quickness.
He goes. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Joe Smith, a couple of strikeouts here in the 8th inning. And the Indians stay in front 6-5. Six-5, Indians lead it. Moving to the bottom of the 8th. Michael Kahn coming into the game now for the Angels. His 43rd appearance on the season.
6th pitcher this afternoon for the Angels. And boy, oh boy, it was a quiet first 5 innings. But the last 2 have certainly picked up for the Tribe. A 4 spot in the 6th, 2 in the 7th to take the lead 6-5.
Chris Perez heating up in the Tribe bullpen. Will he be working with a 1-run lead, or will the Indians add some insurance here in the 8th? Brantley ropes one deep right field. That's headed for the corner. He's on his way to second base. And Brantley goes in sliding with a leadoff double. Boy, it's like somebody flipped a switch, Rick. They are really swinging the bats well. They're being aggressive, and they are not missing their pitches when they're getting them.
Well,
seen 3 home runs, now a double.
Yeah, you don't see Michael go after the first pitch a lot early, but he roped this one. Got it down into the corner. One hops the wall. He slides into second base. That's his 20th double.
Brad Mills, a one-on-one conversation with Carlos Santana because of the meeting on the mound. Obviously, he's telling Santana, look, you get Brantley to third. However you have to do it. You want to hit one out of here to get him to third, that's fine too. Because Santana's last time up, he launched one out of here.
Yeah, that tied the game.
The Indians had 1 hit through the first 5 2/3 innings of this game. They've amassed 7 hits on the last 44 pitches the Angels have thrown. Up high, ball 1. Carlos Santana with Michael Brantley already at second base to start the bottom of this 8th inning. The Angels really don't have a shift on, but they are playing Santana to pull. And he hits one in the air to deep right field. Back is Calhoun.
It's all right.
Front edge of the track.
Done.
He makes the catch. Tagging and going to third is Brantley. And Carlos Santana gets Brantley to third base, which is all they wanted him to do right there.
And put another decent swing on the ball.
Our in-game box score brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. Michael Bourne, who really sparking the offense with a couple of hits here in the last 2 innings. Nick Swisher got it going, got him on the board with the 2-run homer. Avila's followed with a 2-run shot. Santana tied it with a solo homer. And Bourne put him ahead with the RBI single. Now Jason Giambi with the infield in. Cut of the grass all the way around. Fouled right back. Downstairs, 1 ball, 1 strike. Popped up foul, out of play. Yankees lead the Tigers 4-2. They're in the 9th. Kansas City holds a slim 4-3 lead over Boston. They're in the 6th. Here the Indians lead the Angels 6-5 in the bottom of the 8th. And now third baseman Chris Nelson wants to chat with Michael Kahn. They've got the infield in. Giambi at the dish, down on the count 1-2. Upstairs with it, 2 balls, 2 strikes. The pitch. High foul ball down the right side, headed all the way to the upper deck. And the 2-2. Swung out and missed. He strikes him out, 2 away. Kahn needed a strikeout. He got one. And we'll see if Lonnie Chisenhall can give the Indians some insurance with a 2-out hit here. 1 for 2 on the day. He singled back in the 3rd. Walked and scored in the 7th. Little tapper back to the mound. Kahn will run to the bag, flip it, and the inning is over. We'll go to the 9th. Chris Perez will try to hold a 1-run lead for the Tribe. Indians Live comes your way next here on Sports Time Ohio. The highlights, analysis, interviews. It's all brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care.
Well, Chris Perez coming on looking to save a ball game. 17 out of 20 on the year. He gave up the 1 game to Detroit, the very first game of this homestand. See if he can close this one here and end it on a good note before they head out on the road for a 9-game, 10-day road trip. Stop this losing streak.
Mark Trumbo to lead it off for the Angels. Trumbo 0 for 4 on the day, 1 for 13 in the series. Slider just missing. Wow. Pretty close. Good pitch. Chris Perez trying to put Trumbo away. 1-2 pitch is outside. Now the 2-2. Missed outside. Full count. Now the payoff pitch. Swung out and missed. He struck him out. One down here in the ninth. Going back to take a look at our keys to the game. Brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. The all-around game. Well,
the bullpen was outstanding again. 4 innings, just the 1 hit. And they have logged their innings on this homestand.
Yeah, they have.
This will be inning number 30 for them on the homestand. So they have done their share of work. And after Friday's game, down 5-0. This game down 5-0 to hold them in. And the offense was able to come back today.
Little bunt. Chisenhall gets rid of it in a hurry. They got him. Ibar called out 2 away on a bang play. Chisenhall got rid of it quickly. Nicely done. And the Angels are down to their last out.
Wow, this is, I'll tell you, a bang play. A good play by Chisenhall. And right at the last minute, you'll see it again. See that ball go in the glove? Wow, does it get any closer?
I don't think so.
Ibar thought he had it. And Gary Cederstrom says, no, they got you.
The executive producer for Sports Time Ohio is Tom Farmer. Coordinating producer Steve Warren. Today's game produced by Jim Murphy, directed by Pat Murray. Indians Live produced by Mike Bachman. Our associate producers Mike Pockton, Steve Bardo, technical director Dan Larson. Our creative consultant is Mark Koha. Thanks to one and all as the Indians wrap up the homestand here this afternoon. The 1-0 pitch swung on and missed. Well, Perez has suffered the blown save against Detroit in the series opener at the start of this homestand. How about that Tigers team? They have hung a second blown save already in the series against Mariano Rivera in New York. They got him again today. Only today, it was Miguel Cabrera and then Victor Martinez. 2 home runs in the 9th inning.
Wow.
Given up by Rivera. They're still playing tied 4-4 in the 9th in New York. Here, Chris Perez and the Indians 1 strike away from ending their losing streak. He fires. Popped in the air. Shallow center. Bourne is there. He's got it. And the Indians win it. The losing streak is over. The Tribe comes back from a 5-run deficit to score 6 runs in the 6th and 7th innings to take the series finale by a final score of 6-5. The Indians go to 63 and 55 on the year. The Angels fall to 53 and 63. It didn't look good. It didn't look like the Indians were going to have anything offensively to come back in this ball game. But they equal their largest deficit overcome to win a game this year. They were down 5 to the White Sox back on June 28th. Remember, I think that was in the first inning, though.
Yeah, it came, I'll tell you, it came in a hurry. After 5 2/3, they didn't have it, and bang, they put up a big 4 spot. And you were talking about crooked numbers in an inning. They haven't been able to do it. Well, they did it today in a hurry, and they ended up getting the win, and the bullpen held them down.
Our key play of the game brought to you by KeyBank.
Let's go back to that 7th inning. Michael Bourne, he comes in to face a left-hander, and the very first pitch he sees, he puts in play. And Michael Bourne, another clutch hit. He got him one last night, ends up giving him the lead this afternoon. Key play of the day, you get a free Kindle Fire HD when you sign up for a new checking account. Some restrictions apply.
Can't understate this one. A much, much needed victory for the Indians here this afternoon. We've got some final thoughts right after this.